Hello, everyone. I wanted to do a recording to talk about the weapons that can be good in Cyberpunk. To do that, I'm going to have to go over some things in terms of information. Let's start with that. So, under the technical attribute, it's very clear that they intended for this game to be kind of like Witcher 3 in terms of crafting, where crafting items have the edge. The problem is that there's not schematics for everything in the game, not just in the weapons, but also the armor and mods. It was mentioned, or at least they hinted towards the possibility of being able to craft things like silencers or suppressors, whatever you want to call it, for weapons. Problem is that doesn't exist, as far as I can tell. So yes, blueprints don't cover everything, or schematics. So they don't really make it worth your while in this respect. Problem 2 is melee. Because melee doesn't have any schematics for their weapons, you're not going to have the extra edge that you would see with the normal firearms. Also, even with the best cybernetics and everything at late game, there is no way that you'll be able to absorb the damage from a group of enemies if they're all shooting at you. This includes the 200 armor subdermal implant. Even that's not enough in a lot of cases. Problem 3 is in non-lethal. There are gigs, or whatever you want to call them, that do require you not to kill the target. So early on, melee is the best way to handle that because all blunt weapons are non-lethal. Problem is, it actually takes money and time to get to a point where you can do that with firearms. There is a cybernetic mod for the eye that requires the smart link attachment in the hands. This mod says that you can or I should say all weapons are not lethal. You don't do bonus headshot damage, and smart weapons target the limbs. So if you get that modification, you do end up being able to do less lethal just as effectively as the melee weapons for whatever reason. With that out of the way, now I can talk about some of the issues that exist with this game. Okay. So you'll notice that under the technical attribute, you have crafting tab, and then you have the engineering tab for perks. There are a ton of perks related to tech weapons, but I ultimately don't think that most of them are worth it. You can see that I'm hovering over some of them. So tech weapons, at least most of them, have a 2.5 second charge time. So even if you have lickety split, it's still only going to be a 2 second. It's only going to reduce it down to a 2 second charge, which is not much, all things considered. So for that reason, I would not bank on tech weapons being the best because of this, and also because tech weapons get more bonuses from reflexes. That's the problem with tech weapons, is if it's a tech pistol, then it's going to get bonuses from the pistol category in the reflexes. If it's a tech rifle, it's going to get bonuses from the rifle perk and reflexes. So unfortunately, out of all the weapons in the game, tech weapons do require you to be in 2 different attributes in order to see them at their best. So, top that off with the lack of schematics, and I would say tech weapons are only viable if you plan to go up to 20 technical. Because you get this thing called Superconductor. This is the only perk that I would personally say is good enough to spend in this tree when it comes to tech weapons. All this other stuff like lickety split and up to 11. Yeah, it's up to 11. And Gun Whisper. Yeah, all these perks just not worth it. They're just not. But yes, assuming that you can build in a way that this will work for you when you reach 20, then yes, this is perfectly fine. Only this perk though. I'll show you why now. So you can see I was quickly tabbing between weapons. This is a tech revolver. It has a mix between damage and fire rate. So with weapons like this, you're not really concerned with charging because this is a close range weapon, so you're going to be firing very quickly. So the ability to ignore armor would mean a lot. So in that regard, I think that if you have Superconductor, tech weapons are perfectly okay. But I would certainly say that due to the fact that they dip into other attributes, that there are far more effective ways of handling this. Moving on. So as far as the other weapons are concerned, I do think that pistols and assault rifles are probably the best because there's more available blueprints for them, and also because of the fact that they're just more common. I do also want to point this out while we're on the topic of reflexes. You can see that this is a tech sniper rifle. It does 189 to 231 damage. So that's highly dependent on your 2 to 2.5 second charge. But in comparison to the power sniper rifle, you'll see it has the exact same DPS, it just has higher raw damage. So if you don't have time to charge, this will be a far better weapon than the tech sniper rifle for you. But yeah, so that's kind of why I think the reflex weapons like ARs and pistols, or really any rifle, is better. It's just because it's, like I said, more common, it doesn't require charge time, and it has plenty of raw damage. So I would certainly say that that's perfectly okay. If not A tier. Okay, moving on to body category. So in the body category, you get LMG and shotgun bonuses, as well as melee. So melee doesn't really have what you need to survive. Even with this 200 armor subdermal plating, which is orange color, you will still take a lot of damage in group fights, to a point where it's just not feasible to be doing it. Even if you have all the strength-related perks, it's just very hard to make melee work. But the shotguns and the LMGs are perfectly okay to use, assuming that you are within the effective range to use them. You can see I have the Tactician pulled up, and this is what I would consider, as far as schematics concerned, to be better than some of the other shotguns, because it has a good fire rate and decent damage. The one shotgun, assuming that you can find the schematics for, which is Carnage. Carnage has a higher fire rate, so that actually would be even nicer than this, but I haven't seen a schematic for it, so who knows. I haven't even seen schematics for LMGs, but yeah, so LMGs are perfectly okay too, assuming you can even find schematics or anything else for them. But yes, so LMGs share the same problem as melee, which there's no schematics for. So, in summary, I would say, as far as body is concerned, shotguns are probably a better bet than melee or LMGs, just because of your ability to craft with them. As far as smart weapons are concerned, it seems to share the same problem as the tech weapons, in that they do dip between two different things, and you can even see that with my character. You'll notice that the reload speed for smart weapons is here under technical, which is engineering. So yes, there is that problem, because just like technical weapons, they dip into reflexes. So yeah, I don't feel like they did a very good job with these combinations, but it is what it is. So, in summary, I would say that your pistols and ARs are probably going to be the most reliable, as there's readily plenty of them, and, well, in terms of merchants and schematics, I would say after rifles and pistols, you're probably better off with shotguns, as they seem to be not quite as readily available, but they're certainly more readily available than melee or some of the other stuff, smart weapons or tech. Now, if you do get Superconductor, tech weapons might be able to do more for you if you're using pistols, just because of that ability to ignore armor, but that's a highly dependent thing to rely on. That's all I can really say about this. Thanks for listening.